time, I'll reintroduce Mr. Ronnie Lee, your CEO. As you all know, he's been with Walton EMC with a number of years, very effective, strong leadership in keeping Walton EMC heading in a positive direction. Mr. Ronnie Lee, CEO.
Again, let me welcome you to our 73rd annual meeting. This meeting's for you, our members. It brings to life one of our main principles that we operate by. That's democratic member control. We all come to the annual meeting to enjoy the festivities and have a good time, but this morning I want to tell you about a possible threat to your family's budget and your business's bottom line, and I hope you'll listen closely for just a few minutes as I tell you about this. What if your next month's power bill, you had a line item on there and it was for $50, and then it was on your next bill and your next bill and your next bill? Chances are you wouldn't like that, and I know for sure that I wouldn't like it either. But believe it or not, there's a very real possibility that could happen. The Waxman-Markey bill is making its way through the U.S. House of Representatives at this very moment, and it could make this a reality. Let me assure you that this is not a political speech. It's not a speech supporting one party over another or how they're going to vote. But these comments support you, the customer owners of Walton EMC. Since we are a cooperative, a business owned by you, our purpose is to look out for your best interest, and we feel that it's in your best interest if we can keep your electricity bill as reasonable as possible. The Waxman-Markey bill is officially named the American Energy and Security Act, but it seeks to turn Walton EMC into a federal tax collector. You've probably heard this legislation referred to as climate change legislation or cap and trade legislation. So we wonder what the big issue with this bill is, but it's all about carbon or carbon dioxide. As everybody knows, it is CO2. CO2 is everywhere and it's a natural part of life. Every time you exhale, carbon dioxide is expelled from your lungs, and the plants require carbon dioxide to live and grow. CO2 is also a byproduct of some types of electricity production. When coal, which is the most abundant energy resource out there, is turned into electric power, carbon dioxide is a byproduct of the process. We have some scientists that say CO2 is damaging our atmosphere. Then we have other scientists that say an increase in carbon dioxide is actually beneficial to plants and animal life. But the reason I'm talking about it today is because the government wants to regulate carbon dioxide, and it seeks to take CO2 and make a tradable commodity out of it. But it's something you can't see, unlike other real commodities like corn or soybeans. The cap and trade bill will require power producers to obtain allowances to emit gases like CO2, which today is just free and floating all around us. Since these allowances will be tradable, the door is open for speculators and others not in the electricity business to buy and sell these allowances. This could add another layer of cost to you, our consumers. And the $50 a month that I used is a conservative estimate. Some experts have tagged the cost as being much higher than that. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the increase in consumer prices needed to achieve a 15% reduction in carbon dioxide will raise the cost of living of a typical household by $1,600 a year. And that's the $130 a month that'd be added to your electric bill. Some congressmen have estimated that over $3,000 will be charged for this. But the truth is, we don't really know what it's going to cost, but it most certainly will be high. Even our president is telling us that our electric bills will go up. And here are his exact words, and I quote, "Under my plan of a cap and trade system, electricity prices would necessarily skyrocket. Because I'm capping greenhouse gases, coal plants, power plants, natural gas, you name it, whatever the plants were, whatever the industry was, they would have to retrofit their operations. That will cost money, and they will pass that money or that cost on to consumers," end quote. It seems reasonable then that all this money will go to pay to reduce the pollution and help our environment, but I'm afraid that may not be true. Amen. The current White House administration has included $650 billion in its current budget under a category called energy revenues. These revenues will be used to help meet the needs of other government programs, and we can all only guess what these programs could be. As the bill now stands, certain groups will be hurt more than others, and unfortunately Walton EMC consumer owners fall into both of these groups. One of them is consumers living in the southeastern United States, and consumers whose electricity is mostly generated from coal. The Edison Electric Institute, which is the lobbying arm for the IOUs, developed the formula for carbon allocations with no input from consumer-owned utilities, like municipals or cooperatives. And this formula was accepted as part of the bill without even a review from the bill's authors. And I've seen an estimate of what the allowances will be, and in the southeast we get about 75% of what's needed for our emissions, and in places like California they get about 130%, 150% of what they need. So the formula is not fair as it stands today. What this means in plain English is that consumers in areas that get more of their power from fossil fuels, like here in Georgia, will end up paying more, so that consumers in other regions will pay less, and that's areas like Massachusetts or Oregon. The carbon allowances are only part of the story. While these carbon allocations are being implemented, electricity generation companies will be forced to retrofit our fossil fuel plants to produce less carbon dioxide. This is costly technology that's yet to be developed. At the same time, many older plants will be simply abandoned for totally new and expensive zero-emission plants. We're also about to be hit with mandates from the federal government on the amount of electricity that must be produced from renewable resources. I think most of you know that Walton MC has been a leader when it comes to renewable energy. For several years now, we've offered you that feel strongly about the environment the option to participate in our Green Power program. No other green power program in Georgia is further along in tapping sources like biomass or the sun or low-impact hydro than our program has been. Conservation can also be considered a type of renewable energy. You know that we've always promoted ideas and methods to help you save on your power bill. We've never wanted you to use more electricity than you need. Even though we're a leader in renewable energy, the second part of the Waxman-Markey bill pushes utilities to take the amount of renewable energy to levels that will be difficult to achieve, especially here in Georgia. There are states like us that have little wind or limited renewable resources, and we'll end up buying renewable energy from other parts of the country. And it's going to take transmission lines being built to bring that energy to us. We'll pay a premium for this energy, and it will amount to a flow of money from out of our hands into other parts of the country. I know this is a discouraging message, but just as I've done, or just as we've done in our entire history, you can rest assured that the employees, staff, and Walton MC Board will continue to seek solutions that are best for you, and that's regardless of whatever politics is involved. Some of you may be wondering what you can do, and in your bucket today, we've included some information on how each of our congressmen who represent any part of our service territory stands on the Waxman-Markey bill. There is also contact information on the key players trying to pass this bill. I'd suggest that you contact these people, even the ones who may not represent you, and ask them to take a reasonable approach and not use carbon dioxide as a federal revenue source. Be sure to watch our newsletter and website in the coming weeks and months for developments on the climate change legislation and what your co-op is doing to minimize the impact on you, because as it goes through Congress, there's a lot of negotiating going on. You heard me say earlier that Walton MC's purpose is to look out for you, and no one does that better than our employees. I'd like to take a moment to recognize them for their hard work, for their dedication, and for their excellence. They're the ones who keep your lights on over 99.9% of the time. From the voice you hear when you call us, to the mechanics who keep the trucks running, to the line technician who comes out to make a repair. They take pride in serving you with electric power that makes our lives so much easier and more convenient. Whether you need tips on saving energy, have a question about your bill, or even want to know more about Operation Roundup, every one of them would be delighted to help you find the answer. They worked hard to make sure everything runs smoothly here today and that you have a good time. And I'd like to give them a round of applause, and I'd like to ask you to join me in thanking our employees. Once again, let me thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us. I know it's a warm day, but I thank each of you for coming. I hope you enjoy the rest of the meeting, and let us know anytime how we may serve you better. Thank you.